Welcome to Live with Sensei. I'm your host, Jay Haynes, for the Film Sensei YouTube channel. In this 14th episode of Season 2, I am delighted to be hosting Zach Allen with Zach Allen Productions. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It is great to have you. I would like to give some shout outs today, so please do me a favor and leave a comment in the chat room so that I can recognize who is in the house. Also, if you have any comments or questions for Zach, please fire away. Now is your chance. Let's go through the chat room here and see who is here. I think that Ivan is in the house. Good to have you. 4H. And Tony with After Things is here. Great to see you, sir. I'm glad you're here. And Mike with HitFilm University. Good morning to you, sir. Morning for you, afternoon for us, evening for those of you on the other side of the pond. Looks like Terry is in the house, 4K Productions. Great to have you too, sir. And Greg with Gray Motion is here. Also great to have you. Awesome. And top of the day to you, sir. All right, let's jump right into the conversation. Again, I am delighted to have you, sir. Why don't we start by having you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Zach Allen, and I am 17 years old, currently in grade 12. I live in Canada, and you may know me from my YouTube channel, Zach Allen Productions. And also, I have done 2 guest tutorials for the FXhome YouTube channel as well.
Yes. And actually, in the description of this video is a link to Zach Allen Productions. Go check that out. So how did you get into VFX?
It's pretty funny, actually. I wasn't that interested at all until I had to do a school project that was a video in grade 8 with some friends. Yeah. Funny enough, the video was supposed to be like, I believe we had to make some sort of video about dairy products, like food and like the nutritional value and so on. And
sounds exciting.
My friends and I, being us, thought, nutritional facts about dairy products. Let's make a video with lightsabers.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. And so I volunteered to add the lightsaber effects because I thought I could do it. Yeah. So I actually started out using After Effects, the 30-day free trial.
Okay.
And it was my first time doing effects at all, so I didn't know what I was doing whatsoever, but found some tutorials and I got it done. Everyone loved it. It was great. So that's kind of what inspired me to keep going with it.
Yeah, very cool. Let me add a few comments here. We have Robustwell finally lurking live. Still waiting to be notified of the stream. You know, I hate to tell you this, but I'm waiting to be notified of the stream as well. My phone has not yet bleeped at me here. Mike says you have a very cool shirt.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I like that shirt too. Uh-oh. And is my mic on? Yes. CC Coder asks, is my microphone on? And the answer is I hope so. You can hear me, right, Zach?
I can, yes.
Okay, good. Then hopefully everybody else should be able to hear me too. Let me see. So you started off by doing a lightsaber video on food nutrition.
Yes.
That sounds very cool. So how did you find HitFilm?
Well, after I did that first lightsaber video, I'll start with this. It took me a very long time to do the lightsaber effect because I had no idea what I was doing. I only knew what I learned from that specific tutorial, so I really was struggling quite a bit. So HitFilm, I eventually discovered it because I found out that it could do lightsaber effects, and I thought it looked like a pretty cool piece of software, especially because it was free. Let me see.
So when you did it in Adobe, was it like in Adobe After Effects or was it in Adobe like Photoshop? Did you have to make
Adobe
a
After
file?
Effects?
Okay.
Yeah, After Effects. Yeah. But my friend who actually edited the video, he put it together. Didn't send me individual shots or clips, so I had to use the entire video file, and so that was very difficult because there would be like one shot where the lightsaber needs to be on, and then a shot where you don't see it. So I'd have to I didn't know how to turn it off, so I would manually go through and mask it out as it shifted across the frame to the next shot.
Oh, sure.
So yeah.
Well, Mike says, I feel like this tutorial was, quote, the hard way. Rotoscoping by hand. Is that what basically right? That sounds like it.
Yeah.
I had to do that too, but when I was doing it, I did this is way back in 2002. I did a video of lightsaber fighting to The Devil Went Down to Georgia. I have that video somewhere. We filmed it on a 8mm camera, and then I used a FireWire to run it across. And it was really low quality, like 320 by 240, quality. And then it was like I had to take 2-second clips and make them into a film strip file in Adobe Premiere, and then bring them into Adobe Photoshop, and then mask each one of the pictures, and then run it through a macro, bring it back into Adobe Premiere, and remake it into an AVI. And every 2 seconds took about 40 to 45 minutes to do per lightsaber. So then if there were 2 lightsabers, I had to do it twice. And so I could get, in an hour and a half, I could get 2 seconds done, And I mean, this song goes on for 3 minutes. So it took forever for me to get this thing done. And I did. But I thought, man, there's got to be a better way. And I could do that in HitFilm. I mean, it took obviously hours and hours, over months and months to do it. I could do that in HitFilm now, like,
yes,
no problem. And so I feel your pain.
Right. Yeah. At the time I found HitFilm Express, it didn't have the easy light sword effect built in for the free version yet. So I believe there was a promotion going on right before I found it that did include it.
Right.
HitFilm 3 Express, I believe, but then I was too late. So
oh no.
Right. Eventually,
because they gave it away in the Express version.
Yes.
They did a video and everything. Maybe it was Rebellion, or it came out with Rogue One, remember? And that's a bummer, man.
Yeah, so I didn't end up using HitFilm, even though it seemed really good at the time, for quite a while. But I did come back for HitFilm 4 Express. I started learning that. The first tutorial I did was the Ironman heads-up display effect. I thought it looked really neat. I was like, wow, I can actually do that. So I followed along.
Back a ways.
It does.
That's a long time ago.
Yes. So yeah, that's how I got started with HitFilm. That was my first tutorial project I followed along with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So my very first project was a Matrix bullet time effect. And it was in Pro. But I'm an adult, and I said, hey, I want to buy this product, so I just bought it. I never even worked with the Express version of it. I literally went straight to Pro because I needed to, because I need the particle sim, to be able to do the effect, right? So, and that was it. So you got into it because you want to make lightsabers, but then you didn't make lightsabers.
Right.
But you were like, man, it would have been really cool if I had done that, right? So
right.
Let me see here. Oh, don't know if it's just in my area, but the whole net or the whole internet, there's some weird lags going on. Hopefully we're doing okay with you guys. Mike says, I used to do muzzle flashes by dumping out single frames to do the flashes in Photoshop and then comp the muzzle flash back into the timeline. Yep, that is exactly right. Greg says, what is Express? What's this Express thing you're talking about? Express? Yeah. That's pretty funny. And I have an upgrade. I found HitFilm in late 2017, which was Express 3. Wow, was it? No, you must have started with Express 3, but obviously HitFilm 2017 was out. That would be version 5, which was a huge jump over the first two. That was a great product, and it just has only gotten better from here. Oh, look, my computer now tells me we're live. It's only 10 minutes later. All right, let's see here. So Your first HitFilm project was doing the Ironman HUD tutorial.
Yes.
Cool. And then where'd you go from there?
Well, around that time, I started watching the reboot of the Doctor Who TV show, and for whatever reason, I was really fascinated by the title sequence with like the vortex and the police box spinning around and all that. And I thought, man, it'd be really cool to make something like that, since I knew I could do an Iron Man display and I could do a lightsaber. What about that? I quickly discovered that I would need HitFilm Pro to do that because of the 3D models, the particle simulator, and so on.
Right.
And so I started. I used the like demo version when they still had that. It was like you could keep it forever, but it had a watermark at the end of the video, and you could only upload to YouTube.
Right.
You could not export the video. And
that's exactly right.
Right. So I was running it on a pretty slow laptop. I mean, for that kind of effects work, it did not handle it very well. So every time I made a change, I would have to export it to YouTube, and watch that.
Right.
So that's why I actually started the YouTube channel, was just so I could see those uploads.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
So that's how that started. And I've deleted a lot of those test videos now, but there are still a few left. So yeah, that was my first official real HitFilm project that I did by myself without just following a tutorial the whole time.
The Doctor Who, you remade the Doctor Who title sequence. So if I go to your channel and then I sort your videos by age, and for the first ones first, those would be the ones that were like the early on test runs. And then you're like, yeah, I'm deleting the rest of these.
Yeah.
I should probably do that too. Some of my early videos were horrible, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I put that up there, you know.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. So what have you done more recently?
Well, one of my more recent HitFilm projects, you might have seen it on the forums and on the HitFilm channel, is the portal effect from the Avengers Infinity War trailer. That's another one of those effects that I just saw in the trailer and was like, oh, that'd be fun to make. I'll try it out. And posted it on the forums and got quite a lot of feedback on it. Everyone seemed to really like it.
Yep.
And that's when Ole Thompson from HitFilm reached out to me, and they actually wanted me to make a tutorial on it for their YouTube channel. So that's what started that process.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
that's very exciting. And how long did it take you to make the tutorial?
Not really sure. Probably because I already had the effect built, right? So
sure.
Probably a few months I worked on it for sure.
Yeah, I believe it, because it was a very thorough tutorial and it was really well done. You know what I mean? So you could tell that you really put a lot of time and energy and effort into it. So
yeah, I had to go back through the project, write down like every setting that I needed to change, and I had to rebuild it with the footage they sent me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly, because of course they want to be in their own tutorial. Right. Let's see. Robustwell says HitFilm was bundled with Sony Vegas when I first encountered it. The tutorial showed me exactly, or that it worked better than my first attempts indicated. So there you go. And Ivan says my keyboard is dark in a dark room. Yeah, that makes it a little harder for sure, right? And then Robustwell uploaded after that. Coast to Coast, Bill is in the house. Bill, it is great to have you, sir. Glad you're here. And let's see, just had Trip Lupa stuffed. All right, hitting the like button. Thank you, appreciate that. Let's see, and I was on Triple Lupa back in the day. Oh, wait, Triple Lupa was indestructible. Well, it's great to have you guys. Let me see here. So you did the Thanos portal effect first.
Yes.
And then what happened after that?
So Like what happened after I shared it or after that project?
Yeah, no, what'd you do after that? You went on and did other projects.
Right. So I'd say the biggest project I did after that was my entry to the FXhome 200K subscriber competition. I did a sort of a mashup between Doctor Who and Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure. I don't know if how many people have seen it, but I remember a while ago you did a stream about abandoned projects,
Yeah.
and that video was basically finishing all of my abandoned projects and mashing them into one video.
Nice.
So, like, I was working on a Star Trek Voyager intro recreation.
Yep.
I never finished that.
That was a really cool project that you were
Mhm.
working on. And I followed that one very closely, because I mean, you were working, where it's coming in and the thing was the slipstream was coming over it and
Right.
everything. And I was like, man, that is really cool.
Yeah. I actually had a Discord chat with Tony C about that. He's the one who taught me how to do all that cool stuff with the particles. So
Tony C is amazing.
Mhm.
He really knows his stuff. Oh, and here, look, Zach's TARDIS Travel. I have
right.
Mike is somebody who I have given permission to post videos on and links on here. So anybody wants to check it out, there's a link in the chat room right now about that shows you that project. That was a really cool project. I followed that one up heavily.
Yeah, so the Voyager intro was worked into that. I replaced the Voyager ship with the TARDIS from Doctor Who. And it was also a combination of another Doctor Who intro I was working on with the Vortex and the intro scene I just added to sort of tell a complete story of the TARDIS starts in like a dark alleyway, goes through all these like beautiful space scenes, and then ends up back in the same place. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. That was a very cool video. And I did see it. So
Yeah, so that's probably my biggest thing I've done with HitFilm recently, as it just sort of combined all of my best projects into one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But recently you did another tutorial for them. You did
That's
the
right.
hammer
Yes.
tutorial.
Yeah, so that's my next big thing was, so after my portal effect tutorial, Ollie said that, they were interested to have me do more tutorials if I had some good ideas for them. So my original idea was to do an effect from this new Spider-Man that was coming out at the time. There was a trailer, and I think the character's name is Mysterio, and he has like this green energy beam that comes out of his hands.
Right.
So I worked on making that, and I got it all done, and I submitted it and said, how about this? I think it would make a great tutorial. And then they said, actually, we have Tom already doing the same effect right now.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, so yeah, I was disappointed, but I mean, his tutorial turned out really nice. So
It did.
Very different to what I would have done for sure.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then I suggested, because I think Avengers Endgame came out around that time, so I was like, how about a hammer catch effect? Because that was one of the big moments from that movie, of course, when Captain America catches Thor's hammer. So
spoiler alert. Hopefully you've seen the movie. If you haven't seen the movie by now, then tough.
Right. So that was my idea, and they said they'd be interested to see it. So obviously I had to make the effect first.
Right.
I filmed the footage for it and had my mom throw me a cardboard hammer from off camera, and I caught it. And
nice.
I followed a Blender tutorial to model the hammer and went through all of that and sent it to them. And originally they weren't interested in a tutorial for it, actually. They said I did a great job. They were complimenting me on my work, but they said, you know what? We don't think it's right for the channel right now. Right. I said, okay, but they did want it for their monthly email newsletter. So you might have seen it in there. That's where my original catch effect was, with me catching the hammer.
Right.
That's where that ended up.
Right.
But a while after that, they actually did get back to me and say, you know what? We do want it.
We changed their mind.
Yeah. So that started the process of actually making the tutorial and
Right.
emailing back and forth, sending me footage, me saying what I needed in the footage. They made their own cardboard hammer prop and all that. And that one was quite a long process,
It was. It
especially
looked like
with,
a long time.
yeah, with school and whatnot. I think I ended up taking like 6 months from idea to finish. Yeah.
Wow. That's a long time to work on one shot.
Right.
But you didn't just work on the shot, because you worked on a version, and then you worked on
Mhm.
another version, and in the meantime you did you made a whole tutorial on it. But it came out really cool.
Yeah. And I think one of the hardest parts was the screen recording. I had to condense, I think, over 3 hours of screen capture into like a 15-minute tutorial. So
Yeah.
that's the hardest part for sure.
Yeah. I remember, and that's the thing. You want to try and keep it under 15 minutes, right? That's
Mhm.
sort of the deal. So it's like, how can I get this to be under 15 minutes? And I threw shade on Mike when he did it, because when he did that, I think it was the sand tutorial, the dissolve in the sand, which
Yeah.
is now known as the snap disintegration
Mhm.
tutorial. Mike like just sped up the footage,
Oh.
to get it to work. Here, look, it took about 120 hours to complete of total work. I believe it too. I believe it. I have never spent 120 hours worth of work on a single tutorial. I'm going to tell you that right now. I would give it up before I spent that much time on a single tutorial. I do one once a week, so mine have to be pretty fast. They got to be simple stuff.
Mhm.
But that was the coolest tutorial ever. But I think that was the one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but I think that was the one that you sped it up to make it, to fit it inside of the thing. Hey, look!
Oh.
FXhome is here. Hi, all. Thanks for doing that tutorial for us, Zach.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, it came out really, really well. And Mike, yeah, it's the Sandman Dissolve Thanos. He sped things up to 110%. And what I do is I took it and I just turned it down. I watched it at a slower speed so that I could, it was.
I think I ended up speeding up mine a little as well.
Oh, did you? Well, see,
Yeah.
there you go. Maybe it is. Greg says they're been a million, 3 seconds at a time. 3 seconds at a time. There it is for sure. All right, let's see. So you did that shot. That was a great tutorial too. Both of the tutorials that you've done for them were fantastic. So what are you doing now?
Well, I'm still doing visual effects, but I'm not actually using HitFilm so much anymore. Don't worry,
Right.
I'm not leaving.
That's good.
But I still use it for my own projects and things like that, and the FXhome tutorials. But through a high school course, here we call it co-op, which means you have the opportunity to go to a workplace and spend 2 or 3 hours there a day instead of a school course, and you get high school credits for that. So I was very interested to start that, because I was like, well, I can do some courses here, but I'd be more interested if I can actually get some work experience. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So did some research, and I actually found a visual effects studio in my local area.
Oh,
and
cool.
I reached out to them. Yeah. Reached out to them, sent them an email, introduced myself, showed them my YouTube channel and all that. And the next day they got back and they're like, wow, we'd love to have you here. So that started the process of communicating with them back and forth. And they told me which software I would need to learn and whatnot. So I did some online courses and worked through some of my own projects with the new software. And yeah, so I started a co-op placement there. Started off for 1 semester. I was there for about 2.5 hours a day doing compositing. I'll explain more about what I actually did in a minute. And then the next year in grade 12, I ended up doing it again. They wanted me back, so I stayed, did another co-op placement, and a few months, or I think it was the second month into that semester, they needed some extra help, and they were like, hey, how'd you like to stay after your school hours, and we'll pay you. because we need the help. So
You're
turned
like,
into
what?
So I'm still there. I don't have the co-op placement anymore. I go still after school every day for about 3.5 hours usually.
Wow.
And I'm paid as a contractor basically. So
what a job. How cool
yeah.
is that? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Ray is in the house. Good to have you, sir. Wow, a high school internship. I would have killed for a high school internship like that when I was a young kid, you know? Jeez, that's really cool. There's the secret of VFX is diversification of programs. True that. True that. That is a great way of doing it, for sure. So there it is. There it is. That is really, really cool. Let me see. Dapter Things has a question, and here it is. How much did the experience with HitFilm translate into the other product use on the internship?
Pretty much entirely. It was it really helped having that previous knowledge from HitFilm first. Although like the exact specifics of the software, like which buttons to push and so on, aren't the same, of course. The core VFX concepts like rotoscoping, green screen, and tracking, and all those things, having that knowledge that I learned from HitFilm tutorials was very invaluable. And me sending them my YouTube channel of the work I did with HitFilm is what made them realize this kid, knows what he's doing. He has an idea about all the terminology and whatnot. So yeah, I would highly recommend learning HitFilm if you haven't already, because it can definitely help you out with the more professional software as well.
Very cool. That is really cool. Mike says, oh, gee, the studio wanted a kid who has a good eye, a crazy work ethic, and sucks up knowledge like a sponge. What a surprise.
Right.
Wow, well, that is really cool. Talk about an amazing success story. That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So can you say like what other software you were using there?
Right. So so you HitFilm users are probably familiar with the Foundry camera tracker that was recently added to HitFilm. So the main software I use is called Nuke. It is made by the same company, the Foundry, as well. And that is it's the industry standard for compositing software. So that's what I use. It's
Very
quite
cool.
different to HitFilm because it's node based instead of layer based. So has quite a learning curve. But again, if you know HitFilm quite well first and all those concepts, it's pretty easy to translate once you wrap your head around the whole node based system.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so what kind of job or what do you do there at the studio?
So my job specifically would be a compositor. And so that it's not like 3D modeling or anything like that. It's sort of putting the final image together. So say a lot of the work that I do has to do with like phone screens. So someone's holding a phone, usually has a green screen or no screen at all. You have to take the graphic that is provided from an additional company and track it onto the screen, make it look realistic. And so that's the main thing I do is like phone
you do
screens.
Like tracking, roto, painting out, green screen keying, things like that.
Yep. And some people in my family like to call me a magician because I either make things appear like the screen or I make things disappear like something in the background of a shot that they don't want there.
Clone stamp action.
Yes.
Removal. Very, very cool. Let's see. So Greg says, Nuke. Wow. Wow is right. Wow is right. No, it's more power, but a more complex setup than layers. But this is Zach, who can thrive on complex setups. Yeah, Blender has a node-based system that and it's more like a spider web, than a stack, and so because it's that you can plug a lot more things into a lot more things,
right?
And they can interact much better. So it is extremely powerful. But it looks very daunting when you put it all together and you go, oh my gosh, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
That's very cool. So where, if you don't mind my asking, where do these things go? you know, I mean, your projects, what do they end up in?
Well, the biggest production that I've worked on is a show, you may have heard of it, called The Expanse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So season 4, I did, I think, around 7 shots of my work are in season 4.
No kidding.
Currently on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, very
and
cool.
currently working on season 5 of The Expanse.
Are you really?
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
And I can't say anything about it.
All right. So you want to give us some spoilers? No, just kidding. Let's see. I'm going to put a few things up here because now we got the, here we go. Dafter Thing says, phone screen, I thought of HitFilm's tutorial for tracking with the scientific gizmo. That was the sci-fi gizmo. That was Axel's tutorial, I think. That was a really cool.
Pretty similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of stuff you do. That's pretty cool. Camera tracker added a spawn point for Void in my parking lot. Oh, okay, cool. I'll have to go check that out, man. Complex setups, the AT or Atat animation. Talk about doing things the hard way, Zach.
Yeah.
That was impressive, but it was the hard way.
It was.
It was.
I could have learned how to rig in Blender, but I was like, no, I know HitFilm, and I'm going to try it. So
I'm going to do it, but the problem is that, you know, when you move one thing, you got to move them all. They don't, you know, they're not. What is it called when they're connected and they're, you know, you move one and it helps move the other one.
I think it's like inverse kinematics.
Kinematics. Yeah,
you can just move the foot and the whole leg will follow it.
Right. And Blender can do that, but HitFilm doesn't, and so it makes it a lot easier if you have inverse kinematics. So.
Right.
Daniel Peterson is in the house. Am I the only one who has a problem setting the ground plane with the right orientation with a 3D camera tracker? And the answer to that is no, you're not the only one. Welcome to the club. In fact, I had somebody request a tutorial on how to do that today. So we will see how that goes. Let's see. Terry says, I had a demo of Nuke one time before HitFilm, and it was too complex for me to get anywhere during the trial period. I have personally never played with Nuke, so I can't tell you. But The Expanse? Nice. So he wants to know, you didn't happen to meet Bert Poole, did you?
No.
He says, Bert Poole is my wife's cousin. That's pretty cool, but it looks like 4K. Terry watches that. FXhome, very cool. Very cool. Martin Francis is in the house. Good to have you, sir. Very, very cool. Yeah, Nuke has a pretty hefty price tag to it.
Yes.
It's not something that just anybody gets. It's definitely the professional industry standard quality kind of stuff. So
there is a non-commercial version for free you can use if you want to try it. That's how I learned it. So
is that right? Oh, cool.
Right.
I did not know that. And Dapter wants to know who we have here from FXhome, and it is Javert. Well, dinner is cooking. All right. Wonder what he's having for dinner. Hello, Javert. And it's common for any tracker to have the solve come in at an odd angle. Correcting the ground plane is very common, and also you want to have to normalize it as well. So there's a couple of things that are that have to happen there, but that's pretty cool. So I just have to ask because drums and guitars. Tell me about it.
No, I don't play a whole lot recently, but I used to play the drums quite a lot. My dad taught me how to play, and they say I'm very good at it, and I enjoy it. I got to get back into that some more for sure. And I also have been learning the bass guitar, so yeah.
Nice.
Bass music.
Bass guitar. Sweet. Boom, boom, boom. Do you have something you want to show us here? I noticed that you have changed the screen.
Yeah, someone was mentioning the AT animation that I did, so I thought I'd just show it for those who don't know.
Okay, I will bring it up here on the screen. This is it.
So this was all rigged and animated inside HitFilm.
Oh my.
Yeah.
every point has to be individually animated.
Right.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a
Mhm.
lot of work because
It
there's
is.
one. I mean, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, lasers. 6, 7. I mean, what is there 7 or 8 on each leg?
So can you see my mouse pointer?
Yes, I can.
All right, so we have one sort of around here, one on each of the ends of this little piston arm thing,
Right.
and me up here, one back in here,
Right.
some for the head and the guns.
Yeah,
So
and each leg, you have each leg. There's got to be what, 7? 1, 2,
um,
3, 4, 5. There's at least 5.
yeah,
Wait,
1, 2,
run
3, 4, 5. I think 6. Yeah.
6. Run it again. I'm looking at the other. Wow, that's very nice. Yeah, I think there's at least 6 on each leg. That's 24. Plus the head is moving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of
Yeah.
work. Talk about doing it the hard
Mhm.
way.
I think this was before HitFilm's timeline had the search feature, so I'd have to have every single one open with all of the transform values displayed all at once.
Ooh,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have, it's way before the U key.
Yes. Yeah.
The U key would make that so much easier.
Mhm.
Holy smokes. Man, oh man. All right, let me see here. What do we got? Let's see. This was pre-learning Blender, and that was my first introduction to nodes. Yeah. No, Blender is known for its node-based work there for sure.
Mhm.
Right? Some people are worried about self-isolating. For us CGI lovers, it's like Christmas. No, that's true. We do like to hang out here. Hello, HitFilm University. Always seem to get in there. That is cool. You have a cool dad. You have a cool dad for sure, teaching you guitars and drums and stuff. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Yeah, I have a video on setting the ground plane, and sometimes it comes in upside down, and you have to flip it over. I'm going to do one on normalizing, and then we'll go from there. But you do have to sort of manually make it happen when you're doing the track. But having said that, the Foundry tracker is one of the greatest things I've ever worked with. I mean, they really have that down. It is a sweet product.
You know what's funny about that? We don't even use the Foundry tracker that we have access to. we use a separate program called Synthesize for tracking.
Well, Synthesize is about as high quality as it gets.
Yes.
So they've been doing that for a long time. But that's really funny. That's like the guy, working for Ford and you're driving up in a Chevy, kind of a thing, parking in the parking lot. It is beautifully textured in addition to the great animation.
Yeah, this is the model provided from that Rebellion short film FXhome did.
Yeah. And it is beautifully animated too. I mean, it is as real as you would think it would be. So, yeah. Actually, Zach and I were talking before the show here, and Zach said, "I don't know if you're going to be able to figure this out, but I have in the background. I don't know if you know if I have back over there a big sword." And it's called the Boss, which BAS stands for Big Ass Sword. And so Zach saw that and he said, "Oh, I have to run and grab something." Well, that's the Boss right there, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I don't think we're gonna need to ask the question. We'll ask the question though. Don't worry, we'll ask the question. Let's see, 4 or 5 of us trying to talk Zach out of doing the AT in HitFilm, and then you did it anyway. And it is a fantastic walk cycle, but definitely the hard way. That is absolutely true. So, but it was really cool, and we followed that one intently too, because it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's really going to actually do this. So, so do you use like any Mocha in your work?
Yes, I use Mocha almost on a daily basis, actually.
Really?
um, for those who have seen The Expanse, you would know we call them hand comms. They're like, I can't, they're like clear pieces of glass, basically, that are like the futuristic version of a cell phone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we use Mocha to track those to put the screen on. That's the main thing that I do, and many people at my work do, is tracking those tablet things, putting the screens on them. So
Yeah, I
they're
actually saw like a behind the scenes on that, and they were talking about how how they're doing those things, and they're doing a lot of really interesting things. And so obviously you're involved with that.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But I'll bet that it's not like, oh, I can just kind of, get it done in my free time, and it'll be fine if it takes 6 months. Right? I mean, do you have to work on
Mhm.
deadlines and stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah. The thing with deadlines is sometimes they're not the most realistic. So the overarching, company will set a deadline saying the VFX need to be done by this day, but we receive the graphics that go onto the tablets from another company, and sometimes they're not all done, so we
Oh,
can't meet the deadline. So that happens.
yeah.
But yeah, we do try to meet the deadlines as close as possible.
Wow.
Um, in my first semester there as a co-op student, I spent most of the time doing tutorials and learning how to do the tracking and all that. And I ended up, like I said, doing about 7 shots for that season of the show,
Mm-hmm.
which I was very happy about. I was excited to see my work in the show when it came out.
Yeah. Man, no
Um,
kidding.
but this time around, I've gotten a lot more experience. And so for episode 1 of season 5, I've already done like 12 or more shots just for the first episode. And
Wow.
yeah,
How
so I'm
exciting.
speeding up quite a bit.
That's great. How
Hmm.
cool is that? That's cool. But you have to really, I mean, this is a real television show, so
Yes.
you can't
Mhm.
really chintz on stuff. You got to really do it right.
No, that's one of the differences between working on your own project is when you're at home, if a shot doesn't work in your little short film, you can say, I'll just cut it,
Yeah.
right? Or I'll reshoot it. But you can't do that here. You have to work with what you're given. Um,
Right.
yeah, so and some of the shots are quite easy to do. Like you can get a perfect track out of Mocha straight away and you're done. But sometimes the people are shaking them all over the place and motion blur and they're out of focus. And
Oh yeah.
some there have been times when you just have to manually track the 4 corners on by yourself, frame by frame.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
Oh
got
my
to get it
gosh.
done. Yeah.
Yeah. And hey, it is what it is, right?
Mhm.
I mean, sorry, but that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Here's a question from Daniel Peterson. How would you do VFX with someone getting a hand cut off with a lightsaber? How would you do it? If I tried firstly swinging at the top of the arm and then the swing under the arm with a jump cut, or would you do it some other way? I know how I would do it, but how would you do it?
I haven't really thought about that. Let me see.
You never cut anybody's hand off
No,
in a short film?
no, I haven't. Well, I think an important thing to make it a lot easier you would need a clean plate so you can remove the person's arm, right? You can,
Without a doubt.
right.
Yep.
Um, as far as actually, I would probably do it without an actual prop blade on the lightsaber.
Right. Or maybe a
So,
short one, a
yeah,
short
yeah,
blade.
like the ones that
Mm-hmm.
can extend, you would have it shorter.
Right.
HitFilm's lightsaber effect would make it pretty easy with the 2 point. You could either track it or manually do it yourself. And just thinking, yeah,
And
if
then
you,
I would either go with a fake hand and throw it up in the air and then comp it
right,
in
right,
with your clean plate, or you might think about you know taking a picture of your own arm as it's moving, or video, of your own arm as it's doing this, and then comp it, just on a green screen in the same location so that the lighting is the same, and just kind of
Right.
do this,
Yeah.
or something, and then comp it in. That might be a cool tutorial to do. I might tackle something like that. That's probably a good idea. Or you could just lop off someone's hand. Oh, the fake hand. I was going to say, or you could just lop it off for real. Maybe a 3D hand model. There's an interesting idea. For a lock tripod, do a plate with a saber swing and a plate with the arm, and then comp them in. That's basically what I was saying. So do you have an IMDb profile?
I actually do, yeah. Recently made it. Yeah.
Awesome. So do you get actually like named in the credits, or are you just like, here's the because if you named every last single person that was involved, then the credits would go on forever, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the company and some of the head people at the company get in the credits, but yeah, no, I don't. So that's why you add yourself on IMDb. So
yeah, that's pretty cool though.
Mhm.
I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah.
You gotta like that. Yeah, or you could do it like Empire did it with the hand. Just, lop off a fake hand. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm with you on that. That's pretty cool. After Things is headed off to IMDb. I'm gonna try and search you down.
Oh.
See if you can find you. Good luck to them, right? That's what I would do. So what kind of a learning curve did you go over? I mean, I imagine that it was a steep one. And where do you feel you're at on that learning curve now?
As far as learning Nuke, I'm sort of over like the steep part of the curve. Like I'm comfortable enough that I can do things on my own and figure out things on my own. My coworkers have been really good at showing me the ropes and answering any question that I have.
Did you do anything like you totally really messed up? They're like,
not really. There've been mistakes, or when I was first starting, I was working on a shot with like a big curved computer monitor that they wanted inserted, so it was like a giant blue screen. I had to track it and do the blue screen key and all that. That was my first real shot that I worked on, but it took me forever because I didn't know what I was doing. So they ended up having someone else finish it for me. So I couldn't get it done in time. Yeah.
Right. Sure. So that's okay though. Hey, you're you're on an internship. Hey, you can't expect the guy who's not getting paid to do it. Everything.
Yeah, and just specific things like where you're storing your assets, like if you need an image off of the internet or something, what to do with that. Yeah. So
just steal it, right? You gotta. I need a picture of this logo. Where is it? It's probably on the Expanse, website. A picture on the internet somewhere of it. We'll just steal it from the show. You probably don't do that kind of stuff. Huh? Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's one thing with working on these big productions is the organization is huge. Like everything has like a specific way to name the file.
Oh yeah. So that way anybody can step in and know where it is or what it is.
Yes.
And that makes sense.
So every your shots, you can't call your shot like tablet final. Like it's like the name, like the shot number. And it's very specific. So it'd be like EXP for Expanse _ 501, which is the episode number.
Yeah.
And then _ this number _ this number _ this number, version 1, comp 01, 01.
Sure. So you can't just like, this is the tablet final. And then, oh, wait, I forgot. I got to add this. Tablet final for sure. Yeah. This is really, honestly, the tablet final for sure. Well, if you have a question for Zach, ask away. And we have a question, so I'm going to show it. But ask away. Type it in there now. Do you have any recommendations on learning Mocha or Foundry trackers besides, of course, my tutorials?
Recommendations on learning Mocha or
Foundry,
Foundry
yeah, just tracking in general.
tracking in general. I think there's a lot of good tutorials that came out when the Foundry tracker came out. Like I think Jay's channel has some good ones that
Thank
I have
you.
actually used for sure.
And of course,
Mocha,
the FXhome channel came out with their Javert did
yeah,
it, and it was a great tutorial. That's where I
right,
learned how to do it.
right. If you want more tutorials on the Foundry tracker, it doesn't just have to be the HitFilm one. You can look up Foundry camera tracker, and there might be tutorials on the one for Nuke or for After Effects. I think uses it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Mocha, same thing. Don't just stay with the HitFilm channel. I think there is a Mocha channel that has tutorials as well. I think it's Boris Effects is the company that does it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I learned as well.
Right. So yeah, I mean, and like you said earlier, things that you do in HitFilm can be done in other software
Yeah,
applications,
for sure.
and vice versa. So if you see some tutorial on After Effects, most of the time you can translate that into HitFilm, but the buttons are different, things are called different things,
Yeah.
But it's still the same idea or the same combat. I got a new pair of lips over the weekend. I'm still trying to break them in. The same concept is what I meant to say. Let me see. Mike says that he's been renumbered. You're number one. Mike, you're number one. Yes. Mike had to go check his own IMDb page out there. Are you the only Zach Allen? Oh, there's probably more than one Zach Allen, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine. What's the long term? What's your long term goals, and what are your ultimate dreams?
Well, I've already partially gotten there because I've actually done visual effects for a real show, so that's a huge dream that I had just learning HitFilm, and that came true. So, as far as long term, I'm interested to learn more than compositing. So, tracking and roto and painting out things is fun and all, but I'm interested to learn. The software I'm actually learning right now is called Houdini, also node based. For simulations and things like that. So that's what I'm working at right now.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, and my boss at work said that I should learn it because I have the mind for it, and they'd be interested to have me be a Houdini artist if I get good at it. So that's what I'm working at.
So are you learning that on your own time?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You're just doing it for fun, basically.
Pretty much for now, yeah. I don't really have time at work to do it.
Right. Because you have your job to do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in your spare time. You're learning this just to improve your skills. And
yes.
Very cool.
And
very cool.
Ultimate dream, one of them would be to work on a Star Wars film. Star Wars shirt, lightsabers.
What?
That would be really cool. Or something big like that, like an Avengers movie, something. One of those types of projects would be really cool to be a part of for sure.
Yeah, that would be like the ultimate goal, right? The ultimate dream, right? But it would be tough. I'm sure that, the quality standards for that have got to be.
Yeah, they'd be even higher than what I'm doing now for sure.
Yeah. But they're doing some pretty neat stuff. So, volcanoes, nuke clouds, fluid dynamics.
Yeah.
That's the stuff you're playing with. That is, I think, beyond my wheelhouse. I think, I'm going to stay with the basic stuff. So if you have a question for Zach, definitely ask. Now's the time. But I guess now would be a good time for me to ask my big question. Here it is. I know we're shocking here. Which is better, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Well, based on my conversation so far, it's pretty obvious. Star Wars for sure for me. Yeah, it's Star Wars is what sort of actually inspired me to do visual effects. I was talking about the lightsabers and so on, and I just enjoy it. It's been more a part of my life, I guess, than Star Trek. I've only started watching Star Trek within the last couple of years or so.
Mhm.
I enjoy it too. It's a great show. I like the original series of Star Trek for sure. But yeah, I would have to go with Star Wars.
So how were you introduced to Star Wars? Tell me your Star Wars story.
Um, I think my dad showed it to me. I forget how young I was, but started with A New Hope, of course, and watched the
Mhm.
original trilogy, and then
Oh, very cool.
later, my family bought like a DVD set of the prequels, which I watched, and now I've been keeping up to date on the new movies that have come out. So,
Right. And so you've seen them all
right,
the movies. What's your
yes.
favorite Star Wars movie?
Um, that's tricky because there's so much I like about each one, but definitely the originals are at the top, and I
Mhm.
would probably say A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back are my top two.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I mean, and A New Hope is my favorite, but
Mm,
part of it's because of the nostalgia value. This is what my son says, Yeah, but it's okay, but it's the nostalgia value is what is driving that. And
right.
he's right, it is. I saw that movie in the theater, when it came out. So of course it
Mhm.
was like groundbreaking, But you know, uh I'm a guy that likes all the Star Wars movies, right? So I don't bash the
Yeah.
prequels. I love the prequels. I love the new movies. I love the Star Wars story movies. I am really fond of The Mandalorian.
Yes.
I mean, yet to see what I would say is a downright bad movie. Now some of them are great and some of them are less great. You
Right.
know, but they're all really good.
Mhm.
There's not anyone that I just say, man, this is horrible. This is
Yeah,
terrible.
I agree.
Um, but that's me. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Having said that, I will also say that I am really a big Star Trek fan. Also,
Yes.
and my favorite show in Star Trek is Deep Space Nine. That's my
Mm,
favorite show because I love the character building that they did in that show. Because that's what a television show really can do is they can
right.
really develop characters far past what you could ever do in a movie. And when you have a television show where it's just a one-off, 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 you never really get a character arc going. But when you have a sequel like Deep Space Nine did, where you started with this group of characters and they were here, and now 7 years later they are way out. You go, man, this is really a good show. You know what I mean? As we followed them through. So,
Right.
what is your favorite Star Wars or Star Trek series?
Um, I think my favorite is the original TV show. That's what I've
Yeah,
seen the most of.
no kidding.
Um, yeah, I've watched some Voyager. That's why I started doing the intro sequence.
Right.
Um, but yeah, just the original Star Trek show is what I've watched the most of, and I enjoy it. It's fun.
I love the original, especially
Mhm.
as a kid. That was just great. It because the things that they were doing there were so different, than you had
Right.
ever seen before. And they were radical, the thought process on some of these were like, you know, let's have Spock talk to our rock, this week. Okay, let's do that,
Mm.
who comes up with that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, right? So well, here we go. Empire for reasons discussed in the Star Wars Roundtable, and the original series for the win. Thumbs up for Zach for on that one, and I like the original series too, but it's a nostalgia thing, is what it is. So, and it was the last thing I was allowed to watch before bed. Yeah, I actually listen. I'm not quite old enough to have seen those shows when they were coming out, the original series, but I watched them in reruns in syndication, and so I would come home from school and I would get to watch a Star Trek before I, dived into my homework and stuff like that. So the original series. So I've seen them all. They're great. Love them. And again, it was just so radical. The things they were doing were just
Right.
fantastic. So, love it. But Star Wars, again, the world building that happens there and the storytelling is just amazing. So what can I say? Rub it in, rub it in. Well, what can I say? Some of you have seen old enough to have seen it live, and some of you are not. Some of us are not. Right, Zach? We're the young ones in the room.
Right.
Back in the hotel, Star Trek was on during honeymoon. That's great. Yeah, that's 1969. So I was alive in 1969, but I was not old enough to be watching Star Trek yet. You know, I was still a toddler at that point. So well, if nobody has any other questions, I think we might want to start thinking about wrapping it up. I think we had a pretty good talk. What do you think? It's been an hour.
Sure. Wow.
It's hard to believe we've gone a whole hour here, right? Is it about an hour? Yeah, 1 hour, almost on the dot. Holy smokes, that's pretty impressive. Next week I am going to be doing the not the abandoned projects. What am I saying? What are we doing next week? I don't even remember. We're doing something really cool next week that we put off. Oh, it was the verses. We're doing verses next week. We're gonna present each other with stuff that we're doing. Like projects to build live in HitFilm. They won't be hard, but they'll be projects. Here, build this project, and we'll watch people do it live and just learn from the from the idea of how do they set up their project, and what's their sort of workflow from it. So hopefully everybody will be able to to jump in. I'd say get Zach in here, but I don't want to compete against no professional. Yeah, you're a professional.
Yeah, I would join a challenge like that. Sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. We'd love to have you. And I'll bring my Star Wars mug or my Star Wars water bottle. I'll even wear a Star Wars shirt if you want me to. I'm representing my wife's university today. But normally I wear something Star Wars around here. So I got my mug. I got my water bottle. That's all I need, right? Yeah, here we go. He says, go ahead, get Zach in here. I'm saying here, get Zach in here. He's accepted. You're acceptable. We'll let you in. We'll let you slide.
I promise I won't use Nuke and export it and bring it into HitFilm at the end.
Yeah, that'd be cheating. That's just wrong. Well, we'll be doing that again, or we'll be doing that next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And anybody who wants to be involved in that, please definitely let us know. We'd love. I'm saying. Oh, wait a minute. He's saying. I'm saying he accepted the challenge, right? If he accepts the challenge, made me laugh with a nuke line now. Maybe everyone gets a 10-minute head start. There you go. That's not a bad idea. We'll show it to you, and then you can think about it. But they're not going to be hard projects. One of the things I want to do is maybe have the people who are in there present something for the others to do, right? So it's like, I'll challenge you guys to do this project, and then I'll accept a challenge from somebody else, we'll just do them kind of one at a time, that kind of a thing. So
I have a feeling no one's going to challenge me to do a tablet screen insert shot, though.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. Since we know that's your area of expertise at the moment. We want you to hand animate a Atat Walker.
Okay.
You'll be like, done. Look, I'll just load this one up. You could just do that. Go ahead and hand animate this, and you got 3 minutes. Go. Right? And then you could just go, well, it took me 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. All right. Yeah. No, I actually sent or I talked to them about it, but I'm not sure if they have somebody who can be available from FXhome to come in and do the versus challenge too. It's like I said, they're going to be easy projects. They're not going to be hard projects at all. But it's just to kind of learn. And when I say versus, it's not me versus you. You know, it's us versus the project file. You know,
Mm.
we're taking the challenge. We're taking the challenge. So. Well, Zach, I want to thank you for being on the show. It has been a delight to get to know you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
It has been awesome, and I would love to have you come back again. And we can do, you know, you could be a part of a bigger group discussion, or we could have another one-on-one. Any way you'd like to do it, I'd love to have you come back.
For sure.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And here we go. Wait a minute. He says, I'll try to talk to Justin, Simon, and Tony into doing it. There you go. Now we're talking the big ones. The big ones. Those guys are incredible. So, well, we'll have a good time for sure. Bring your own project file and challenge it to the other one. Good talk, Zach. Grumble, grumble, you young punk. That's Mike, the old man talking over there. Stay off my lawn, young whippersnapper. All right, guys, we will see you next time. Thanks, Zach, for being here. Really appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.